I'd like to welcome you to the Autism Today podcast series. My name is Karen Simmons, and I'm the founder of autismtoday.com, the first online information and resource center since 1998.
Hey,
I'd like to
hey, hey, Karen. Nice to be here.
thank you, Aiden. It's great to have you here, and Elaine too. I'm so thrilled to have
Karen,
you here.
it's always wonderful to be with you. So we always have fun.
We always have fun. So I'd first like to introduce our first guest and our friend. I've known her, you said 20 years. I thought it was longer, but
No,
that's
we met at Cleveland, I believe. You were putting on a conference back in the day when conferences were live.
oh, way
And
back then. Okay.
yeah, right after Autism, probably 2008, after Autism, the musical came out.
Okay. Yeah, wow.
But it feels like we've known each other, yeah,
I know.
forever.
I just remember being on the beach with Alex and having that lobster.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot more I remember too, but I'm not going to talk about that because we only have a short time. So I really want to
that's
jump
right.
to the
Let's
juicy
jump.
part. Yes. Okay. So getting into the legacy, I'd like to introduce Elaine Hall, and she's also known as Coach E, and she's a pioneer in the field of neurodiversity and the arts. Yeah, that's right. She's the founder of the Miracle Project, a fully inclusive theater and film program profiled in the Emmy Award winning HBO documentary Autism the Musical. A sought after Hollywood acting coach, Elaine has recently worked on high profile productions like The Accountant 2 and Begonia, bridging the gap between authentic lived experience and the demands of the silver screen. Okay,
Thank you. So great to be with you, Karen.
so great to have you. And I'm really excited also to introduce our second guest, Aiden Delbis. Aiden is a rising
Yeah.
star. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, good stuff. Aiden is a rising star in the entertainment industry and a powerful voice for authentic representation. That's so important to everyone. Known for his nuanced and competing performances, Aiden recently starred alongside Academy Award winner Emma Stone in the film Begonia, which I have to say I loved. As a neurodivergent actor, he is part of a new generation of creators who are not only performing, but actively reshaping how the world perceives the internal lives and capabilities of autistic individuals. So now we're going to jump. Thank you very much, Aiden, for being here again. My first question is for Elaine. Elaine, we've known each other, again, we talked about that for 20 years. You wrote the testimonial for the new edition of The Little Rain Man, which was my very first book, along with Temple Grandin, who wrote the foreword. When you look at how far the conversation has come since we first met, what does this book represent to you now?
Well, Little Rain Man comes from the perspective of someone who is autistic. And back when we first met, um, people were not taking the words of autistic people. They weren't listening. They weren't listening. And because I wasn't reared in the traditional system of clinical understanding of autism, I just was, from the ground up. It was our voices and the voices of those who um, uh, experience the world differently. Those were the voices that I wanted to be heard. And Little Rain Man really expresses those voices. Today, we listen, we're heard. Those on the spectrum are leaders in the community rather than doctors who study us.
Yes, 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 yes. I have a good friend. Her name is Patty Beach, and she has a saying she says it's called Shuva, which is being seen, heard, understood, valued, and appreciated, which we need
I
for
love it.
everybody. Yeah. So people with autism and neurodiversity need Shuva. I mean, we all do, but it's good to remember that.
Yeah, well, and I think we've taken over at one point, I remember being on a panel with a bunch of clinicians all talking about, uh, you know, trying to get, how do we get autistic children to line up for a fire drill. And they all had their theories of how to get children to line up for a fire drill. And then it came to me, and I'm like, why do they have to line up? Right? So let's just experience the world in a way that makes sense for everybody. And I think Little
That's
Rain Man
beautiful.
puts that, allows the inner life of someone on the spectrum to be presented in a way that others can understand.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Also, I didn't tell you, or maybe I did, that my son, who's 35 now, is publishing his first book. And it's a children's book, and it's called On the Empathy Quest. And so it's a book that it talks about an autistic boy who learns about lying. I think it's quite interesting. So, as a parent, how does this feel to see our children moving from being the subjects, as you talked about, of other people's stories to being the authors and creators of their own narratives?
The Miracle Project was founded on that principle 21 years ago, that we want to elevate the inner life and the stories of those who are neurodivergent and disabled, and to combine that with the neurotypical stories. So we come up with something entirely new and innovative. So all of our musicals are created, and Aiden, have been fortunate. Aiden was in one of our shows last year where it's completely created by those on the spectrum. It wasn't like, oh, we have a script and that's written by a, neurotypical person. You're going to learn these lines and say them, which is also very valid. But what we do with the Miracle Project is we share the internal voice of those on the spectrum. And when we do approach material, and Aiden, I'm sure we'll talk about this, it's just, we approach it in a very unique way. So we don't try to be a neurotypical person. We approach material from a place of authenticity and creativity and a different way of experiencing the world.
Awesome. My third question is for Aiden. So, Aiden, in the spirit of making creators feel supported, what were some of the specific access points or accommodations provided for you on the set of Begonia that allowed you to feel more comfortable and perform at your best?
And well, the main ones that stood out to me were, I guess, just having Elaine around as the access coordinator, and yeah, she definitely had a big help with practicing different stuff through it and providing some support and all. And
Mm-hmm.
also the fact that they actually did give me my own room, did make me my own room near the near the set for when they wanted me off there for other things. And
That's
yeah, it was a nice room. There was some good snack selections, some of those nice pillows, some of those kind of fancy pillows that you can rub to kind of change their color, and some poster and some kind of neat posters in there, mostly of different horror movie things, and
I think this,
a basketball hoop next to it for when I sometimes did that.
that's great. I think they should put that in everybody's room.
Sure.
Minus the horror pictures for me. So Aiden is so cool. He
Uh,
he
yeah,
relaxes by watching horror pictures. So that's why
not.
Begonia is
I
so
mean, no.
cool.
I mean, not real. I mean, not really. I don't really relax by doing that. I just kind of like watching them sometimes.
I like true crime.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's great. So then, Elaine, so for you, you recently coached Allison Robertson for The Accountant too, which I've had the pleasure of meeting. How do you prepare an actor to maintain their authentic self while working in such a high pressure Hollywood environment?
The most important thing is, as you say, to be your authentic self. And I think sometimes people may overthink, or I've worked with some actors that are on the spectrum that feel like they have to act neurotypical.
Oh,
And we start the day with a warm up, with really getting in touch with our own feelings, and I listen a lot to their ideas. With Allison, definitely she had came in with some really great ideas and concepts, and would ask, what do you think about this? She played a non-speaking character. And, as you know, my son is non-speaking, and I'm quite versed in that field. So I would really encourage her to trust herself, to, with Aiden, with all the other actors that I work with, it's all about trusting yourself. It's also about, if you have what you might think is a strange request that you're afraid to ask or you wouldn't even think to ask the producer, I say, ask me anything, anything. And I had one actor that I was working with who had bracelets, and that was one of his stems, that is to have bracelets. I mean, comfort. I don't like the word stem as that much, but something that comforted him. So he told me that it really comforted him. Could he wear them? And I was able to ask production if that could be part of his wardrobe. I've had another actor that doesn't tie his shoes, doesn't wear lace shoes. And so I was able to ask on their behalf that the character doesn't as well. And so things that I've even been asked for, people needing, a certain food I mean, all actors require things, but just to be willing to ask for what you need and not be boldly themselves and what they need, and having an access coordinator can help with that. With Aiden, I mean, I think, a lot of the things, well, you can obviously speak for yourself, but just allowing whatever sensory needs, whatever comfort needs to be available and accessible allows for each person to express themselves.
that's great. That is great. And so, Aiden, your performance in Begonia alongside Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons is being celebrated. What was the most important lesson you learned from Elaine and others that taught you, that helped you hold your own with two Oscars caliber powerhouses?
I think it was actually what Elaine was just saying. I was advised by her and others to just kind of trust my own instincts as an actor at different scenes more, and not overthink the process or exactly how to do things so much, and it does seem to work well. And also, while this isn't so much a piece of advice I was given by anyone in particular, but kind of from the get go in the situation, I did personally try to think of Jesse and Emily less as prominent, famous actors with more experience than me, and more as just fellow actors with a job to do in the whole situation. Yeah, I guess I think that sort of attitude mentally, mentally leveling the playing field a bit more in a way was helpful too.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be the only way you could move through anything like that, because meeting people that are powerhouses can be very uncomfortable at first, but once you get to know them, I'm sure it's a lot easier.
Sure.
Okay, and then okay, to Elaine in Little Rain Man, we also talked about the internal world of autism. How do you translate that internal experience into performance that a director can capture on film? I know we've talked a bit about that too. So
Yeah, I think what we shared before and what Aiden said is really, allowing each person's unique process come forward. And that's really any any good coaching for anyone is really allowing their true self to come forth within the character. So I believe that it's the same for everyone, is really allowing, having the courage. That was the thing with Aiden, if I can just share about you a little bit, is, you came in with this incredible charisma and talent. And then my opportunity was just to help allow that to come through within the context of the material in a natural way.
that is beautiful.
Hmm.
All right.
Aiden, so let's talk about the character of Don in Begonia. How are you similar to or different from him?
And for me, I'd say that's a kind of complicated manner. I feel like I'm kind of I feel like I'm kind of simultaneously very similar, yet also very different from Don in my real life. Like I feel like I can relate a fair like I don't know. I feel like I can relate a fair amount to his general. I feel like I can relate a fair amount to his general feelings in the whole situation of bit of like bit of like being of like being kind of more shy and and awkward and not exactly totally trusting your totally trusting yourself. I think I know the feeling of that. But also at the same time I feel like I'm kind of more chap I'm kind of more chatty than him, albeit maybe not by much, and have a bit more and yeah, have a bit more general confidence and a bit more of, I'd say, a mischievous side to me than I really feel like Don has.
Mm. I think in having met you, I kind of see that mischievous side.
I definitely think that. Yeah, but another thing, I definitely think that I'd need. I definitely feel like my. I definitely feel like the real, my real. I definitely feel like the real me would. I definitely feel like I'd. For one thing, if I were in Don's shoes in the whole situation, I definitely think I'd, for one thing, just need or really want to see more concrete evidence of a lot of the things Teddy was talking about before I seriously consider going along with something like that.
Mm-hmm.
More concrete evidence than I'd figure that Teddy ever bothered or really bothered giving to Don, frankly. But, but
Definitely more discerning. Definitely more discerning. And,
yeah.
if I can add to that, the director, Yorgos Lanthimos, really allowed Aiden to bring his own special sauce to the character of Don.
Yeah,
And
for me, yeah, yeah. Definitely appreciate the fact that for me and other actors, he kind of did definitely give a lot of room for experimentation and just having fun with stuff. He didn't try to micromanage too much,
yeah,
which I
great point.
appreciated.
Also, I heard the audition process was intense. Can you tell us about the preparation Elaine helped you with and what you worked on with your family for that chemistry and, with Jesse Plemons?
There actually wasn't much. There actually wasn't much There actually wasn't much preparation for for at least the first chemistry read with him. I kind of just memorized the script for that. But a pretty intense part of it was something later. But a pretty intense part of it was something later on where we were practicing a certain scene with where we were starting to practice a certain scene with a chair later on in the movie. That's a bit like it was a bit like the second scene we started to practice. And yeah, generally Elaine advised me to kind of focus more on getting myself on kind of getting more experience, that getting myself worked up and in a more intense sort of mood, most notably by just doing things like pushing and yelling, and I actually practiced that some with my mom, and yeah, I'd say it paid off.
Oh, that's good. Maybe I should get my kids into acting.
Well, if they like it.
I mean, they like to beat each other up or whatever. Um, so anyway, Elaine, you've moved from the needle from awareness to employment. That's huge. With projects like Begonia receiving Oscar buzz, nomination for Best Picture. Do you feel the industry has finally reached a tipping point regarding authentic representation?
Absolutely. It's really frowned upon now to, even though actors win awards for playing a disabled or neurodivergent character, today it's really frowned upon unless for authentic casting, just like it is in LBGTQ and race. That authentic casting is the way to go. One of the changes that I can actually cite was for the TV series Atypical. The first season, they had cast a brilliant, wonderful actor to portray an autistic character. And the good news, and I think this is part of the tipping point, was that finally there was an autistic character being written and portrayed very beautifully, but it was not portrayed by an autistic person. So, but it was great that the storytelling had already started. Second season, a producer called me and said, "Do you think that autistic people could act on TV? Do you think that they could handle the stresses?" And there's all these myths, or will they have a meltdown, right? And I said, yeah, I do know that autistic people could definitely do that. And actually, there's 6 of them standing in front of me right now because I was at the Miracle Project when I got the phone call. So I sent over several Miracle Project actors uh, and who auditioned, just like everybody else, for the role of the peer group in Atypical. They got the job. And that's really, yeah, they got the job. And also, I went on set just to help out because I didn't want them to go. They'd never been on a set before. We had, plays with the Miracle Project, but they'd never been on set. So they got the job, and I asked, could I volunteer to come on just to hang out? And I worked that day with craft service, getting the right foods. I worked with wardrobe, and I just did what I do now, but there was no title. And the next day they asked if I could be hired. And that was the beginning of my career, my third or fourth career, and my career as an access producer, access coordinator. And those students stayed on for many of them for all the remaining seasons.
That's great.
Season 4 became regulars. And then all the people in disability, the extras, the background actors, were all people with disabilities. And then we went on to, As We See It, which Jason Katims wrote, that was cast completely authentically, 3 autistic actors playing 3 autistic characters, numerous autistic roles, authentic. Everything comes across my desk today as authentic. And then, I'll let Ada more talk about the character of Don, which was not written as an autistic character, but Yorgos had the insight to say he would like to cast a neurodivergent. And they auditioned both neurotypical and neurodivergent actors. So, but that was a vision. So I think today it's both, that it's not just the tipping point, it's just where we are at, and also offering what would be deemed as a neurotypical role to disabled and neurodivergent people.
Nice. Are there roles for voiceovers and things like that as well?
Yes, there's actually oh shoot, what's that animated series? A new animated series that just came out that was voiced by all disabled and neurodivergent people. Voiceover acting is really challenging because because there's only a few voiceover artists, really. You don't, you're playing so many different voices. You don't need that many people. But yeah, they're definitely voiceover.
Okay, this one is for Aiden. In the Empathy Quest, I know you're not familiar with my son's new book. He hasn't come out yet. I mean, we haven't launched it. But he writes about the power of understanding others. How did you approach the role of Don through a lens of empathy? Like, how did you find
Uh,
a way to truly step into his shoes?
uh, well, I mean, I can't say I had much of a specific prop. I can't say I had much of a specific process for that, but I guess, like I said, I guess I could already relate. I guess I could relate to his feelings to in the whole situation to a point where slipping in and out of the personality felt fairly simple most of the time, and
Here's a
and
big one. Go ahead.
uh,
What do you think Teddy really thinks of Don?
oh yeah, that's a yeah, that's a very very complicated matter, I guess too, because like yeah, like you can like I feel like he obviously he obviously cares about Dom, but also I definitely find it very debatable how much he truly respects Don
Mm-hmm.
or appreciates a lot of parts of his personality. Just like because he never overtly because he never overtly just because he never overtly shames Don for being the way he is, and even gives him a fair amount of praise in the earlier scenes. But also, it just I feel like with how a lot of his the things he generally preaches to Dom really go against a lot of Don's own nature and personality and how and his just general behave and his just general treatment and addressing of Dom through most of the situation and during the interrogations definitely tells, I guess, tells a different story, kind of, and like that makes me feel like he doesn't much truly, much truly truly respect. That even in a lot of those earlier scenes with him praising Don, you could argue that he was more. You could argue that he was more so talking to himself than to Don.
Hmm.
I think it might be a separate matter unless we want to elaborate on it.
Yeah, I know it's really, really interesting, all the plot dynamics. So
Yeah.
now that we're getting ready to wrap up and everything, I wanted to ask Lane, since we've been in this for 30 years, or well, 20 or 30 years, probably 20, the parents who are just starting this journey, I know we go way back on this. One thing about where our children and our careers would be today, or how would they be if we hadn't had our children and if we hadn't been down this journey? I know that was not real clear.
Oh, that's a great question. So that I mean I have been Neil's mom for my son's mom for 29 years. So something for a new parent is to find community, to ask for help, to know that you're not alone, to look to others for support for parents, I think. I mean, had I not had my son my whole life, I mean, I was in the entertainment business prior to my, having my son. And but my son taught me the real meaning of life. My
Mm-hmm.
book, Barn Burned Down, Now I Can See the Moon. Now I can see the moon because I'm in touch with the essence of life. I live in the neurodivergent autistic world and just so happen to have gone back to Hollywood, but from a place of my true authenticity. I've uncovered my own uh, neurodivergence and sensory processing and the way my brain experiences the world differently. I never ever would have. I would have been masking my whole life. And I mean, thank goodness I'm incredibly healthy and strong, but I would not have been had I continued to mask.
Yes.
Because masking created tremendous anxiety and exhaustion. And so my son, there's no way he can mask. And my world I prefer to be in the autistic, neurodivergent, disabled world, feel a sense of belonging. So all of that has been, so for parents is, it's a different ride, and cherish the ride, and know that you're not alone. I
I
just got
love
the names of the new film called Goat is features the first ever disability loop group. So I wanted to share about that. And then also our dear friend Stephen Shore was consultant to an inspiration for the PBS series Carl the Collector. So none of this was around when our kids were young. It's a great time in the world to experience the world differently. So,
Yeah, our kids are our greatest gifts, our greatest assets, and they teach us so much around resiliency, compassion, understanding, and how to embrace everything that we have, in our lives. I know Stephen, every time he calls me, the first thing he says is, "Do you like the moon?"
I know you
To
guys. Yeah, I
calls me the
met them.
moon
I
lady.
met them all. I met them all through you. I met all of those friends through you, Karen. You're such a hub. And I get to hang with such awesome people like Aiden. It's
Yes, so great.
we could talk we talk
I
until
know, I know, and I know
today.
you're on a tight
No, no,
time.
no. I'm just saying it. And with Aiden and I have spent many hours on the phone talking and dissecting begonia. And Aiden's become, if I can speak on your behalf, just uh, Jesse Plemons is just a wonderful human being, and they hit it off like immediately, and
Nice.
still consider each other cousins. And I don't know, it's a wonderful time to be autistic. Not
Yes.
without challenges. I don't want to sugarcoat it. Not without challenges, but
Of course,
what's
there's
life without
challenges.
challenge?
There's challenges for everybody, even the neurotypical kids.
Oh yeah.
So I guess the last question I have for Aiden, and then yeah, as a 19-year-old actor with a massive film under your belt, what's the one thing you want directors and casting agents to know about working with you on your next project?
Well, I guess I'd want them to know that I'd want to avoid becoming I think I'd want to avoid becoming an overly predictable actor if I can help it. Like I want to like I want to keep I want to keep having time to I want to keep I'd want to kind of be able to keep kind of experimenting with different sorts of roles and figuring and kind of just kind of having fun and figuring out what I'm and figuring out from doing things what I do best at. And I think I'd be up really for really for really for a bit of anything at the moment with acting stuff. But namely, but namely, yeah, probably being in a horror movie as like a villain or something. One of these days.
What about a murder mystery?
Yeah, probably. Like I guess I'd just yeah, and also they should know that they should know that they should make sure they have a lot of hot chocolate stuff available because
Hot
yeah, that might
chocolate
be
fruit
my main
pie.
condition for acting in a lot of things now.
Hot chocolate
I
and
kind of
goldfish
became
and goldfish.
Hot chocolate and goldfish? Oh, goldfish. Oh, that kind of goldfish. Okay.
yeah, kind of became addicted to hot chocolate while working on Begonia. So
I'll have to remember that. Well, I want to thank you both so much. It's been a complete pleasure. And if there's anything else you want, or you want to let the audience know how to contact you, or anything else you want to let them know that we may have missed?
Well, I can be contacted through my personal email, which is elaine-hall.com. I mean, that's my website, elaine-hall.com, or Elaine at themiracleproject.org. I'm available for consults, trainings, coaching. I do private coaching, life skills training, and introduction to how to get into the biz. And we offer classes at the Miracle Project. So that's my availability. I can put that. Will people see the chat, or it'll be on your website?
I'll just send it to me, and I'll get it into the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they want to reach Aiden, like if a producer
and
wants
here's the here's the can
I
you
can't see it, but
read
you can
clearly
just
at all?
email it to
We'll send it to you. Yeah, and
send it to me.
Yeah, I have a management card, and I also have an Instagram, even though I don't personally run it, but you can
Nice.
message there.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the interview, and I'm excited to get this out. We have a lot of things that we want to share with the world here, so this is way up at the top of our list. And Elaine, yeah, okay. And so thank you
Well,
very much.
nice. Well, nice then. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
see you all around.
Okay. So we will see y'all later.
thank you.
Thank you too.
Bye.
Bye.